Hi guys, welcome back to another video. It's so cute and it's so fluffy, so I like that as well. So as promised, I have come up with the most requested video of my time ever. That is, how do I actually make notes? So if you look at my books, most of these books are going to be annotated and I make my notes. This is how they look once I've read them. There are different strategies. I did try a lot of different annotation methods, that what is working best for me. So today I'm going to be sharing my method of annotating and how do I actually make notes. This video is going to be divided into three parts. The first part is how do I annotate non-fiction books. The second part is going to be how do I annotate fiction books. The third part is going to be what are actually my reading supplies. Annotating and note making is very personal to people, and yes, obviously you can take tips and tricks from other people, you can follow their strategies, you can learn from them, but eventually you will find out your own strategy only after you do a little bit of trial and error. And once the practice is perfect, that is when you are going to find that strategy which actually belongs to you. So when I started handwriting, I also used to just highlight whatever I used to like. I did not make any notes. I did not write with pen. I did not have any sticky notes or anything. I used to just highlight with a highlighter, a basic highlighter, which is this. This is what I used to do. Just take a fluorescent highlighter and just highlight whatever I used to like. That was the initial phase of my annotating. That's how I started. It is a process. It's not something that you can master in just one day, 1 month, or 1 year. It takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of patience with annotating. Most of the people feel that when you are annotating, you are just decorating a book. They say that it's not adding actually some value to the book, but I feel that whenever you are annotating or whenever you are making notes on the book, you're actually talking to the book, and that's the best way of reading, because you are interacting with whatever the author has written. You are not just blindly following whatever is written in the book. You are making an effort to underline things, you're making an effort to analyze, you put your analysis there. So when you go back to that book and when you reread it, let's say that if I have to reread this book, I'll just be able to go wherever I want and just read my analysis. It's so very simple. Annotating can be different for different people, because the way we read a book, the way we actually analyze a book is very different when compared to different people. So it's all right if you don't want to annotate at all. You can make your peace with it, and it's okay if you are a heavy annotator as well. I've seen people who heavily annotate their books. It's all right, because after all, it's your reading journey and how you want to actually take it forward. So let me discuss the supplies of annotating. What do I actually use now? So this is going to be my current method of annotating. It might change in future, and I'm going to make a separate video for that, so don't worry about that. For now, what do I do is I decide colors for sticky notes and I decide color for highlighters. So let's say that I've got these highlighters. Say that I've got these 4 highlighters. I'm going to decide a color code for each of them. Let's say, just for example, let's say that orange is going to be for the things that I want to implement in my life. So this is the color code that I'm going to give to this highlighter. About highlighters, I've got these uh, highlighters from Cello. So these are 3 highlighters that I use. Mostly I use these on my non-fiction books. These are from Cello Power 2000 highlighters. They don't bleed a lot through the pages, but if it's a very thin paper, then obviously it will bleed. Anyway, we have to just highlight it, and once it dries off, it's hardly seen. So yeah, these are 3 highlighters that I use, and I have color coded them. I'm going to talk about the color code when I talk about how I annotate my non-fiction books. So alright, this is the first supply that I've got. Now moving on to the next batch of highlighters. These are my 2 Luxor basic highlighters. I think this was 10 rupees each or something. I got it from a stationery shop. Um, so people who are living in Pune, there's a great stationery store, Venus Stationery, in FC Road. They've got like crazy variety of highlighters, and you can also order them from Amazon. These are available on Amazon. The links for all the supplies in the description, so you don't have to worry. You can just check the description and you'll be able to find that what stuff you need to get from where. All right, so these are the basic highlighters that I've got. These I use in my non-fiction works, also in my fiction books. I'm going to talk about that later in some time. All right, moving on to the next set of highlighters. These are mine Stabilo highlighters, the pastel colors. I know that these are beautiful. So these I specifically got for my fiction books, because when you're reading a fiction book, your mind is so calm and so composed that you want to use something which is lighter, not something which is very fluorescenty. You would want to use something which is, a little pastel color. That's just my feeling, guys. You can use whatever you want, but it's just that what I do. So yeah, this is my third set of highlighters which I use. These don't bleed through pages, but when you start, like when you start the highlight, right, when you start and you highlight and the end, so just the start and the end points of this highlighter will be a little visible on the back of the pages. Otherwise it's a good to go kind of a highlighter. You can get these also from Amazon. Link will be in the description. Don't worry about that. Okay, these came in a set of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6. So I've got a yellow as well. Fourth tool in my note making is the colored pens. So these are the two type of pens that I use mostly for making any notes or writing on the pages. This is normal a Pilot pen, and this is the Luxor red colored pen. If I don't agree with something, then I use the red pen. If I agree with something and I want to make a note of it, I use the green pen. Moving on, so how do I write the analysis on the book? So you must have seen that on the border somewhere or on the sticky notes, I use a black colored pen. So these are those black colored pens. These are from Brustro. Okay, so these are from Brustro fine line. These are fine liner professional pens, and these are different nib points. Okay, the few are 0.1, 0.2, so they range from 0.05 to 0.8. So based on the thickness, if I want to write between lines, then it is going to be, obviously I'll use a tip which is very fine tip. I will not be using 0.8 on that, because that's a very thick tip. So based on the space I've got to write my notes, I use these pens. Another kind of pens that I used to use earlier was this Luxor fine writer. I got a set of this. I think there were around 10 pens in that. This was purchased long back from a normal stationery. If you go to any normal stationery, you will be able to find these pens, and Luxor and Pilot pen, these are also available in any stationery. So I don't like these very much because they bleed through pages like crazy. These are more like fine sketch pens. So if you just put a tip there, right, and if you want to write something and you're thinking about it, it just spreads out. So that's what I don't like about these pens. This is something that I've stopped using. But if you want to look for a cheaper alternative, then of course you can go ahead and you can purchase these as well. If the paper of the book is good quality, then this will not give you any problem. But in India, as we all know, that most of the books are coming with super thin papers, so this is going to give you a problem. It is going to bleed through pages, and if you write your analysis on one side, then the next side will be actually unreadable. Talking about pens, this is also something that I purchased from the Venus stationery. Such a cute unicorn. This caught my eye when I was just going to exit from the stationery. So this has also got multiple colors, blue, red, orange. So whenever I have to make notes and I don't have any pen lying around, that's when I make my notes with this. So let's say if I'm just chilling in a balcony, I'm not going to carry my entire stationery there, right? I'm just going to carry this pen and I'm just going to write. So in the balcony, I'm mainly reading the fiction books. I'm not reading non-fiction books. So I don't have to make so many notes there. So I just carry this pen and I just write my analysis there. It's so cute and it's so fluffy. So I like that as well. Um, So yeah, you can switch colors whatever you like based on your need, and it's going to give you that color. So most of the people feel that, annotating and making notes in such a creative manner, using different highlighters, using different sticky notes, and your black pen, blue pen, and having tabs, it's a very difficult process. It's time taking. I agree, it's time taking, but it's also something that is, calming to our minds, because when we are reading books, we are trying to complete books like anything. We are trying to just finish it off. But when we hold on and when we take our time to analyze the books, and when we are writing something on them, it is actually going into our brain, and it's a simpler process. It flows like a river. So that is what is important. You're not rushing through the book. I'm okay with, just reading one book and completely 100% grabbing whatever is there in the book, rather than reading 100 books and grabbing just 1% out of them. So I hope that I make sense here. So this is a very cute pen that I've got, and it was there on Venus. I am not sure if it's available on Amazon, but I'll try to find something very close to this alternative, and I will link down in the description as well. So that is it for the pens and the highlighters. Now moving on to the sticky notes and the tabs that I've got. So let me talk about the pastel color tabs that I recently purchased. I got these with the Stabilo highlighter, and these are available on Amazon. These I use mostly for fiction books, because again, when I am reading fiction books, it has to be relaxing, it has to be calming for me. So I don't want to use the super super colory highlighter sticky pads like this. So that is the reason I go with this. Scale marking as well. So if you want to just have straight lines, you can use this, and you don't have to carry a scale. These are super thin, and you can just put them in a book. You can just put them inside a book, and it'll act like a bookmark as well. So yeah, that's crazy. Okay, so this is the first set of tabs that I've got. Link will be in the description, don't worry. The second one, which I'm asked 100 times, that where did I get it from, how do I use it. So this is from Amazon as well. You have got fluorescent color, you have got pink color tabs, and tiny arrow shaped different colors, so that you can use them in whatever way you want to. So I will be coming on to how do I actually use them on non-fiction books. I'll be talking about that in a while, stay tuned. So this is the second set that I've got. This is from Amazon. So here, if you see, I've got multiple types of sticky pads. Oh, okay. I've got multiple types of sticky pads. These are used for non-fiction and fiction both. And few of your normal post-its, you can get them in different colors, so that your analysis looks a little bit more prettier than it used to. Some more tiny ones, and these are unique. Okay, so I got these from Venus stationery again, which is in Pune. You can also find it in your surrounding stationery, if any. So these I used to write my analysis in my non-fiction books. I think that is all with the post-its. I've just got different colors, and different types and shapes and thickness of posts. Yeah, so you understand that you can get everything whatever is available. Whatever I've shown to you guys, these are the things that I actually use when I'm reading. Okay, so now talking about how do I annotate my non-fiction books. So first thing first, you need to decide a code for each tab. Let's say that I'm using this tab for my non-fiction book. I'm going to dedicate color code for each tab. So if you see here in the front of the book, I always make sure that I'm giving designated code to every color. So let's say green has got self note, pink is share is something which I share on social media, orange is for disagreeing with something in the book, and red color is for cross referencing. So a lot of times when we are reading a book, we come across some phrases or something by the author which is already spoken in another book. So that is how you need to cross reference the book. I'm going to make a separate video on it, because it's a very lengthy process. So red color is for cross reference, and purple is for quotes that I like. So based on this color code, you can actually stick the tabs whatever you feel. I do, yeah. So each book has its own codes, each book has its own colors, and based on that you can just stick things out, and this is how the final product will look. Okay, so that is how I stick the tabs, but how do I, color code the highlighters? So for the highlighters as well, I have designated different color codes. So let me pick the different highlighters. So this highlighter is just for basic highlighting. If I like something in the book, I'm just going to highlight with this highlighter. Talking about the pink colored highlighter, this is something that I want to share with people either in the form of reels or in the form of Twitter. So this is mostly for my content creation, highlighting my content. Talk about blue. Blue is very rarely used, but it is a color that I use to uh, disagree with the author. So whenever I'm disagreeing with the author, whenever I'm disagreeing with something which is written in the book, that is when I use the blue colored highlighters. The green one is for cross referencing. Whenever I see something that has been written in a book and needs a highlight, that's when I use the green color, so that it stands out that this thing has been repeated in multiple books as well. So green is for cross referencing, and pink color is for the content, and the yellow one, normal one, is for general highlighting. The blue one is when I disagree with the author. So yeah, these are the 4 color codes that I have given for the highlighters. You can have any kind of code that you want. You don't have to stick to these codes. You can define your own codes, but this is just what I do and I'm sharing with you guys. Now, how do I write my analysis and my notes? For that, I do not have any code. Have to write something very short, then I use these kind of sticky notes. If it is a 1 sentence or a 2 sentence, I use this kind of sticky note. If it is a whole sum of analysis and I have to write a lot, then it has to be a bigger sticky note. Based on what I want to write in the book, the length and the width of the post-its will matter. The color code, there's no color code when I am writing on these post-its and stickies are just for the analysis that I want to write. These are going to be my thoughts. So when I read a book and I highlight something, whatever is going in my mind, whatever I'm thinking of, that's what I'm going to write in these kind of post-its. Also, one thing I do mostly in nonfiction books is that after each chapter, I write a chapter analysis, and that is done with this color code, the purple color code. It's important because so many chapters are there in a nonfiction book, and it's so easy that you can actually lose track of what you learned in the last chapter. So it's important that you analyze and you write the summary of each chapter once you are done with it. This is the sticky note. The purple color sticky note is something that I use for that purpose. So yeah, a part of this, other colors and other sticky notes are just for writing my analysis. There's no color code for them. I just find the nearest one which is available and just take it out and stick it. This is how I actually make my notes, and the color codes of these tabs will keep on changing. It will not remain the same. So for this book, if I've got one color code, for this book I can have a different color code. It does not matter. Your color code does not have to be same. But when I'm referring this book, when I'm rereading this book and I want to pull something out, I'll just check the color code, and according to that, if I want to see something which was a self note, I'll just go ahead and pick a green colored column, and I'll just refer to that. So this is how I actually utilize this. A lot of people ask me that why do I underline or circle a lot of things. So if you go through my notes, you'll see that few things are underlined a lot. So whenever I want to emphasize on something, whenever my mind is emphasizing on something, that's when I underline it multiple times. It is automatically, it's a reflex action, is something that you can say. because I have been making notes and annotating on books from a very long time. When I was in fifth, sixth standard, even at that time, I used to make notes on my books, write in the margins with a pencil, underline it, because I want to emphasize, I want it to get stored in my brain for a longer period of time. I am going to create another video for what are the benefits of note making, especially coming to non-fiction book. But yes, for fiction books as well, it's important. Trust me, I didn't know it earlier, but I was like, why are fiction people highlighting and annotating so much? But later I understood that why. Coming to fiction books, so this is the fiction book that I annotated. It starts with this. Even on the airport, I was annotating it, so I am not sure what people were thinking of me, but still, I was doing it. So one more thing I like to do with my books is that I like to leave the tags only till just this much, so that it's easier to look, and also it's not too it's not outside so much, so that it's difficult to put the book in the shelf. So this one is easy, they don't bend a lot. So for fiction as well, just like non-fiction, the first thing is going to be how you want to decide the color code of the book. So for pink, I've got good moments. For a greenish color, I've got the share with others. And for bluish, dark bluish color, I've got these are the bad memories or some bad events which are happening in the book. So first and foremost rule of annotating is that you have to decide a code, and that code can be anything. It can be anything according to you, does not have to follow my code. So that's for the color code. Coming to the highlighters, I've got these 7 highlighters that I use generally for my fiction books. I use them for non-fiction books as well. These days I'm starting to use them because I just like the look and feel of these, how they come out on the paper. They are not too harsh on the eyes, so I'm going to implement these in my non-fiction books as well. So for the fiction books, I use these highlighters, so based on the brightness of the colors. So let's say yellow is very happyish kind of color. So I use it whenever there's a good event which is happening, and the blues and the purples, I leave them for the bad events or the bad memory which are happening in the book. The pink is mostly for the romantic events which are happening in the book, so this, let's keep that aside. Yellow is for the happy moments which are happening. Purple is for anything which is dark or harsh which is happening in the book. Same goes with blue as well. If there's a character which I dislike, then I'm going to highlight it with blue. Orange I'm using for something which is like a plot twist which happens in a fiction book, so that's how I use this orange colored highlighter. And the last one, which is the green one, this is something that I use for my favorite character. So if you talk about It Starts With Us, I highlighted Atlas and Lily and Theo as a green colored, but I highlighted Riley in blue color. So yeah, that's how I highlight in my fiction books. I hope that it's not very complicated, but I have tried to make it as simple as possible. So this is for the highlighters. Talking about the sticky tabs for the fiction books, I use these sticky tabs only for fiction books. I don't use those sticky tabs, only these sticky tabs I use. So based on, if it's a happy book, then I'll use this color palette. If it's a saddening or a thriller book, then I'll use this color palette. If you look at these two, when you stick these, there's hardly any color difference. So for these three, I've got one color code only, which is sad moments and gloomy moments. For this pink, I've got a good moment, a romantic moment. For these purples, I've got the bad characters, and for these, I've got the good characters. So that's how I stick these. Coming on to this palette as well, all bright colors are for the good moments, all the dark colors are for the negative moments. So that's how I use it. Pink is specifically for anything which is romantic. So that is it. Coming to fiction annotating, I have not mastered fiction annotating yet. I'm still learning because I just started doing fiction annotating, but non-fiction annotating is something that I've been doing for a very long time, and I love doing it. So that was it for today's video, guys. I hope that this helped you in some manner, because I had been getting questions like anything, that where do you get your supplies from, how do you annotate, how do you write on books, why is a red pen and not a green pen and not a pink pen and not sparkle pen. This is a very simple process of annotating. I hope that this helps you, and I did not make it complex enough. I tried to break it down as much as possible. So let me know in the comments down below that if this video was helpful for you. Like, share and subscribe. Thank you so much. Bye.